Karma never spared anyone in Hell's Kitchen. From chefs who thought they could laze their way around Hell's Kitchen to contestants who showed attitudes worse than their cooking.
What's the problem? Ask me, Julie, if you have any questions. All right, you're supposed to listen to me, not Bonnie.
She's not going to stop talking, and I may have to strangle her with some chiffon.
These are the most satisfying moments where Karma showed up right on cue to humble the overconfident, starting with Raj from Hell's Kitchen Season 8, who quickly became one of the most talked about contestants in the show, but not for the right reasons. From the very first dinner service in episode 1, things went downhill. Ramsay made him a waiter for the night, but Raj couldn't even explain the specials without stumbling.
Good evening, madame. Hello, monsieur. We have an amuse-bouche this evening of
Moments later, he was seen writing orders at the pass instead of the tables, leaving everyone confused.
Table 10.
10th. Table 3. Guests 4.
Why don't you do this at the table as you're talking to them?
Thank you, Chef Ramsay, for that advice.
Told to either help or get out, he joined Boris at the pizza station, only to ignore directions and start cutting mozzarella instead of rolling dough.
Raj! Help them!
It was fairly on his part. I'm a little bit worried about Chef Ramsay's, karma.
Here, put it here.
The dough's there, you can't roll it.
Roll the pizza dough.
Here's more mozzarella.
I rolled the pizza dough. What are you doing? Are you?
Ramsay accused him of completely switching off as he was sabotaging his team's performance.
We're screwed on a pizza.
And was nominated at the end of episode 1 by the blue team.
Who is the men's first nominee and why?
Chef, the men's first nominee tonight is Raj. Raj couldn't seem to get it together all day. He seemed a little bit delusional about his performance.
By episode 2, his mistakes kept stacking up. He missed orders while standing right next to Ramsay.
I'm here. Yes, Chef. What do you need? I'm here.
What do I need? What did I just call out? What did I just call out, Raj? I'm talking to you. What did I just call out?
I didn't catch it.
Oh,
Then began preparing random garnishes no one asked for, earning another furious send-off.
look at the garnish. The big sack of stacking up your garnishes, and it's getting longer and longer and longer and longer. Get out! Now!
Then came episode 3, where Karma finally caught up.
Gotta get these out.
Hey guys, come here. Get out of the way, get out of the way. Whoa, get out of the way. Taste it. Taste it, taste it, taste it, taste it, taste it. Not an ounce of seasoning. What are you?
His unseasoned scrambled eggs cost the team their challenge, and in the middle of the chaos, he literally stuck his head in the fridge to cool off.
I gotta cool off somehow. I tried to clear my head by sticking my head in the refrigerator, but I couldn't.
Raj, move your fat.
Later that night, he cooked salmon in a bizarre stock, served it raw, and even ate the rejected fish at his station, right in front of Ramsay. That moment sealed his fate.
What's that in there?
That's not grilled.
Oh dear. Raj, what's that? What is that stock he's putting in that salmon?
I grilled it, and I finished it with a little bit of sauce.
No sauce, bro. Raj, please don't do that.
Look at his eating, look. Haven't you got enough in there?
But that's so good. It's really a waste.
Wow.
No, I mean, I just took a quick little bite. It's really tasty.
Despite being on the winning team, Ramsay eliminated Raj, telling exactly why he had to go.
The person leaving Hell's Kitchen is Raj.
Raj's karma came full circle, proving that in Hell's Kitchen, ego and chaos never last long.
You, big boy, are out of your league. I personally can't go an inch further. There's the door there, big boy.
While Raj's karma was almost instant, Rob's karma traveled halfway across Season 8 to reach him. Back in Episode 2, things were already messy for the blue team. Curtis was struggling at the sushi station.
Look at this. Fat. Look at that there. Look at it. Come here, you. It's not good enough for me.
His rolls were uneven, the plate was dirty, and Ramsay wasn't impressed.
You think that I'm gonna... You can't even clean the off, Curtis. Right off.
Curtis kept falling behind, and instead of helping, Rob just watched.
Curtis got the kitchen off to a really bad start. You know, I could slide over and help, but that's not my problem. Let him sink.
That moment pretty much sealed his fate later on, because karma doesn't skip anyone in Hell's Kitchen. Fast forward to Episode 8, during the 100th dinner service, and this time, Rob was the one drowning. On the meat station, he missed timings, couldn't keep up, and had no support from his teammates.
I need an old Wellingtons. I need an old chicken. Tell me what I need. Just a Wellington, right? Russell just wasn't answering me, man. He was not communicating with me. Nobody's helping me with a call. Talk to me, Russell. Someone's got to talk to me. I mean, I can't get every entree in my head. Someone help me.
He ended up delaying the entrees by 8 full minutes, which slowed down the entire blue team and cost them the service.
How long?
I need about 8 minutes, chef.
Why?
I'm dragging on the chicken, chef.
Did you forget it?
I missed it on the ticket, chef, yeah.
The same lack of teamwork he once shrugged off came right back around. Rob's refusal to help Curtis in episode 2 ended up mirroring his own downfall 6 episodes later. Classic Hell's Kitchen karma at its finest.
I'm dragging chicken, chef.
On a night like tonight.
Next up is one of the most satisfying karma moments in Hell's Kitchen. In Season 3, Episode 4, Melissa started showing her I'm the boss attitude in the Red Kitchen. During dinner service, when Julia overcooked her scallops and needed 2 more minutes, Melissa completely ignored her and kept on calling for times, making it look like Julia's fault for being behind on orders.
Those are overcooked, babe. Those are overcooked.
Really?
Yeah. 1 minute to the window.
I need 2 minutes.
I gotta put my risotto up. You ready?
Did you hear me? I need 2 minutes.
Ready, Julia?
I told you I need 2 minutes.
But that was 1 minute ago. 1 minute?
But Ramsay immediately noticed the lack of communication, praised Julia for honesty, and warned Melissa to fix her teamwork or get out.
Something's happened, but no one's told me.
I overcooked the scallops.
Thank you. Melissa, you're running the appetizers, yes?
Yes.
You're running ahead, and no one's with you.
Yeah.
You're not a team player. Right now, I need some team spirit.
Yeah.
I'll kick you out, and I'll do the section myself.
Yes, chef.
But instead of learning from it, she doubled down. By episode 5, her ego went full throttle during the wedding planning challenge.
Anybody has a question, let's just ask me, since that's what the chef's been doing. What's the problem? Ask me, Julie, if you have any questions.
All right.
What's the problem? What is your problem, Melissa? You're supposed to listen to me, not Bonnie.
Excuse me?
She took control without being asked, shouted orders at Julia and Bonnie, and dismissed their input.
I think you should just put this in just for a little bit. Guys, all the food has to be hot. And I'm assuming that you have a little bit of knowledge of how to cook. Duck is overdone.
I know, you made it overdone.
I didn't make it overdone.
You it back in the oven, don't try it. I took it out on time.
When the duck breast turned out overcooked, she refused to take any blame, and the red team lost the challenge. Ramsay later reminded her that no one made her the leader. It was supposed to be teamwork.
I didn't put you in charge, madam. You're standing there acting like some jumped-up little cave woman. Today's challenge, quite frankly, was a team effort.
Later, her constant micromanaging drove everyone crazy, to the point where Bonnie said she wanted to strangle her with chiffon.
She's not gonna stop talking, and I may have to strangle her with some chiffon.
Even after that, she kept sabotaging her team's performance with her poor attitude and skills.
Melissa, come on. You're putting us behind.
Where's the Savion?
Oh, after I took the spoon out of it, it must have turned over and the water got in the Savignon. I have to get more Savignon. What? Can I borrow some of your Savignon, please?
Get out of here, you!
I was gonna go get some Savignon.
So you take theirs, and then they run out. Oh, off, will you little sabotage?
Then came episode 6, when karma finally hit. After being transferred to the blue team, Melissa promised she'd never sabotage anyone.
Let me tell you something now that I'm on your team. I will never sabotage any of you.
But then during dinner service, her monkfish was overcooked. She didn't notice it, and even ran out of fish entirely.
Overcooked?
That's over, chef.
God almighty. She doesn't know that's too overcooked. It looks like regurgitated dog. Where's the other monkfish gone?
I have one left, chef.
Oh, no. So the 6 we got on order are all...
Yes.
No, no, no.
And Ramsay was done and eliminated her later in the episode.
Take your jacket off and get out of Hell's Kitchen. You, madam, have had more chances than anybody.
Her controlling attitude, the same one that pushed her teammates away, ended up isolating her completely. Hell's Kitchen not only tests the chef's skills and attitude, but their loyalty as well, like the moment from Season 16, Episode 4, when Andrew and Johnny turned their focus on Kimberly after Jessica's elimination, mocking her voice and calling her annoying.
Next week is fine.
I'm thinking, Kim. That voice, oh my God, it's the worst. Rip her up right now. I just can't wait to make her cry.
But Kimberly didn't back down. She clapped right back, calling the blue team a pack of sheep and herself a wolf.
All right, face.
I have a face.
Yo, Splinter, shut your face.
You, Johnny! The blue team is pathetic. These guys are sheep. I am a wolf, and I will bite back.
Despite their teasing, she stood her ground and made it clear she wasn't going anywhere.
I am
You think you're gonna be here longer than him?
You know what? I'm gonna at least.
No, it's a question.
I'm not.
Do you think you're gonna be here longer than him?
It's my mission.
Well, guess what? Mission unsuccessful.
Yeah, go back in your nest.
By episode 7, Andrew's focus started shifting away from the kitchen. Late in the dorms, he was seen cuddling with Heather, even though he was engaged to someone outside the show.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
For who?
Us.
I get married in a couple months, so it's probably not gonna be a strong relationship.
Not right.
He brushed it off, saying they were just friends, but the flirtation was obvious.
Me and Heather are friends. You know, we're out here enjoying the moment, and she's a good girl. So hey, am I gonna flirt with her a little bit? Maybe.
Heather said she trusted him and that it was hard finding someone who truly understood her.
Andrew, I mean, he's funny. I could talk to him about anything. And it's hard to find genuine people who actually understand you and get your personality.
Then came episode 13, Karma's quiet moment for him, cheating on his fiancée and constant bullying of his fellow contestants. Once again, Heather and Andrew were seen together, still close. But when the Black Jacket Challenge arrived, Ramsay brought Heather in for a blind taste test. Ironically, she voted for Kimberly's dish over Andrew's, unknowingly sealing his fate.
Heather,
Yes, chef.
which dish did you prefer? Kimberly's filet or Andrew's New York strip?
It was Kimberly's filet, chef.
She says Kim. What the?
Ramsay announced Kimberly as the winner, and Andrew was sent home for under-delivering.
Congratulations, Kimberly.
The same Kimberly he once mocked, and the same Heather he got too close to. Both played a part in his downfall. Perfect full-circle karma.